And there's another really surprising thing about the data, which people don't talk about, which is if you actually dig into the US Census data over the last few years, what's surprising is that Travis County, which is where Austin sits, has actually predominantly been led by international migration from Asia, from Europe, from South and Central America into the city. So if you look at April 2020 and 2024, domestic growth into Travis declined by 15,000 people.
Really?
And it grew
Wow.
by 50,000 international individuals moving into the county. But when you look at the MSA and you take a step back, that's where you see tremendous international and domestic growth. So I think there's something there as well where, we talk about Austin, we think about Travis County, and we neglect all the other counties around Austin. So we've got Williamson County, so you've got Round Rock there, extremely popular destination, lots of affordable homes, lots of families, Hayes County with San Marcos, and then Bastrop and Caldwell, which really make up the MSA.
Right. Do you know, I'm curious, the international group that's moving here, I assume we have a lot of Latin Americans because Mexico and some of the other Latin American countries that we're seeing immigrants from. And I have good friends whose parents moved here from those countries.
Yeah.
Is it mostly coming from there? Or I know we're going to talk about this later. At least I wanted to talk a little bit about UT and all the amazing research and other higher education type institutions. Like, are people coming from stereotypically what we would see like lower wage types positions from these Latin American countries, or are they coming from these Latin American countries as doctors or researchers, or are they coming from Eastern Europe, or where are they coming from?
Yeah, it's a great question, and honestly, I don't know. I think that the data there, it can be hard to find exactly who came from exactly what country and exactly what they were doing when they got here. So it seems to me it's probably a mix. And actually, I'll come back to that because when you look at the demographics in Austin and in Travis County, and we'll, we can get to that. It's changed quite a bit over the last 15 years, which would actually tell you a little bit something about the question you just asked. And actually, just to jump into it now, I mean, one thing that has been a question here for a long time is who came and who stayed and who's left. And, this is where people talk about replacement and whether Austin culture has become dramatically different. And I think this is where the critique is fairest, which is if you look at the most recent data, so from the city of Austin, they just did a study that they wrapped up at the end of, and they published a report in November of last year. They noted Austin's transition to younger, single higher renting earners as a proportion. It's become a city like that. And so when you look at that, I mean, you say, regardless of where people are coming from, they're coming from, whether they're coming from all over the world or they're coming from the US, it's that cohort that's moving to Austin. And I think that's also the feeling that you get when you look on Instagram or you hear the articles that it's a city of renters and young people, maybe they're working in tech and they're renting.
Right. We actually, when I moved here a long time ago and I lived around Town Lake, which I know you live downtown, so you probably see this more often, we would joke that the Town Lake Trail, which is this beautiful running trail along the river, which people call a lake who've been here a long time. I think now you're supposed to call it Lady Bird Johnson Lake still, even though it's the Colorado River. This running trail is stereotypically a lot of young people, and we would call it the pretty people loop.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yes. Anyway, so I don't know if people still call it that, but that is the stereotype that Austin is young and attractive if they're out and running around and whatnot. And I buy it that that's the type of people Austin has attracted over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So interesting.
Yeah. Well, cities have had worse reputations. So, Austin should
take
take
a good
that.
reputation.
But yeah, no, such a great question about, who's coming from what countries and, what they're doing here. And that one to me really surprised me. I really think that there was this reputation of just young people from the US coming into Austin and working in their tech jobs remotely. And it's been a much more diverse pool into Austin than I think we give it credit for.
That's true. Well, I know I'm jumping ahead a little bit because we're going to talk about what the impact is long term here. But did you see Governor Abbott's H-1B visa letter that he wrote about? Oh my God. So, well, I'll give this in the somewhat bipartisan view that I can.
Sure.
Even though I tend to float on both sides. But Governor Greg Abbott, who is a governor of the state of Texas and has done a lot of wonderful things for the state. I mean, we have really flourished as a state under his governorship. He did write a letter saying that any H-1B visa personnel at Texas public institutions need to be reviewed and decided whether or not they should be kept.
Okay.
I think that's in the next few months, end of May or so, that review is supposed to happen. But more impactfully is that he said over the next 2 years, you have to receive written authorization of approval in order to hire someone under an H-1B visa to work at a Texas public institution, which is a really big deal and not great, in my opinion, if we want to be the kind of cultural hub for all types of education and learning and just continue to be a powerhouse in talent and education.
Yeah. And when will the decision be made about that at some point?
He's made it. Like this letter that he wrote is an order. It's a decree. I'm sure it will be litigated.
Sure.
So hopefully the courts will have something to say about this because it's just a shame. We have so much talent, as I imagine you're going to talk about, coming from overseas here. And to just say, no, we only want these jobs to be held for Texans is so short-sighted, in my opinion. It's like becoming Japan, which, no offense to Japan, has not worked out for them long-term.
Lower immigration. Yeah. No, that's interesting. I did not know that. And I mean,
it was just like 4 days ago.
Well, and looking at the data, I mean, obviously Austin's a city full of H-1B workers. I would think mostly private institutions, lots of tech companies here. So certainly it would have an effect on who's coming and who can stay.
Yeah.
And really when you look at Austin and if you look at other cities over the last few years, a lot of the growth has been, for better or worse, in government and healthcare industries. So, clearly would impact the job numbers as well in Austin.
It would, for
and
sure.
In Texas. Yeah, interesting. I know, I did not know that. Thanks for bringing that one up. It's interesting.
Yeah.